There is a lot of controversy today about the 10th Amendment.
Many people place far too much importance on the 10th Amendment and use the amendment as an excuse to weaken the power of our federal government.
There are people in our country invoking the 10th Amendment simply because they do not like certain policies or laws which are contrary to their personal or religious beliefs.
There are people within our country invoking the 10th Amendment because they have a dislike of the federal government, and they want to alter, change and even destroy what our founding fathers established.
However, the 10th Amendment was never meant to be used as a means to break up the principle of union within the boundaries of our nation.
Article 6, Clause 2, provides that the Constitution and federal laws made pursuant to it and treaties made under its authority constitute the supreme law of the land.
Article 6 provides that state courts are bound by the supreme law. In case of conflict between federal and state law, the federal law must be applied.
Even state constitutions are subordinate to federal law.
The Supremacy Clause is the most important guarantor of national union.
It assures federal laws and treaties take precedence over state law, and binds all judges to adhere to that principle in their courts.
In other words, the federal government has the last say on all issues, foreign and domestic. In reality, at any given time, there is no such thing as the 10th Amendment.
Again, this is important for the establishment of union.
When it comes to our civil liberties, this is very important.
You cannot have individual states defining what freedom of religion is.
You cannot allow individual states to determine what freedom of the press is.
Our civil liberties must be uniform and applied exactly the same way in every state in the Union.
50 individual states, interpreting law in 50 different ways, establishes 50 individual nations, acting in their own interests.
This would be devastating to our nation.
You cannot allow individual states invoking the 10th Amendment to violate the law of the land.
Allowing the violation of federal law is the first step necessary in an effort to destroy our nation.
Article 6, Section 2 states that treaties entered into by the United States is the law of the land.
When a sitting president negotiates a treaty, the United States Senate ratifies that treaty, and the president signs the treaty into law.
That treaty becomes the law of the land. It is absolute, and no state can violate that treaty, invoking the 10th Amendment.
The law flies in the face of Arizona's human rights obligations, particularly the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, ICERD,
which the United States ratified in 1994, and which is binding on all levels of federal, state, and local governments,
including Arizona Governor Jan Brewer, who signed the bill.
The ICERD treaty obligates federal, state, and local governments to guarantee that laws and policies do not discriminate in purpose or effect on the grounds of race, color, descent, national or ethnic origin.
Under ICERD, all non-citizens, regardless of their immigration status, are entitled to equal protection and equality before the law.
Federal, state, and local governments are barred from employing or carrying out racial or ethnic discrimination against individuals or communities.
The treaty states each state party undertakes to engage in no act or practice of racial discrimination
against persons, groups of persons, or institutions, and to ensure that all public authorities and public institutions, national and local, shall act in agreement with this obligation.
When Arizona passed a law allowing Sheriff Joe to racially profile human beings, citizen or not, Arizona was in violation of the United States federal law, an international treaty entered into by the United States.
Disobeying federal law and international treaty is not justified under Article 6 of our Constitution. Nor can the 10th Amendment be used to violate the United States law.
That's what happened, you know.
Many of the people rounded up by Sheriff Joe were American citizens and of a single racial profile. Clearly, racial profiling was employed, and clearly American law was violated.
In addition, along with violating American treaty, Arizona and Sheriff Joe clearly violated the due process and equal protection clauses of the 14th Amendment protecting American citizens from abuses exhibited by the state of Arizona.
Jan Brewer, governor of Arizona, took an oath to defend and protect the Constitution of the United States.
When she signed the immigration bill into law for the state of Arizona, she violated and broke her oath as an elected official, promising to protect and defend the Constitution.
Under the 14th Amendment, Paragraph 3, Jan Brewer, Sheriff Joe, and state lawmakers
who passed and signed a law violating American treaty and civil liberties of Americans, guaranteed under our Constitution,
should be barred from holding public office because they broke their oath to protect and defend the Constitution.
I believe we are a nation ruled by law. This is a conservative principle cast in stone.
People who advocate blatant disregard for the laws of our nation are by no means conservative, nor are they patriotic.
I would ask those teabaggers and libertarians so bent on violating the United States law, so determined to secede from the Union, so convinced that taking arms against our elected officials is justified under the 10th Amendment,
to stop hiding behind the skirts of the Republican Party. Stop driving the Republican Party into the mud.
Stop declaring, out of one corner of your mouth, your love for America,
and out of the other corner of your mouth, advocate violation of American law.
You are not American. You are not patriotic. You are a clear and present danger to our nation.
Considering how many whack jobs there are out there regarding the 10th Amendment, that tastes good. I don't want anything to do with these people who want to use the 10th Amendment to destroy my country. So, for you teabaggers and you libertarians out there, do you get my message? You leave my country alone. You leave states' rights alone. You don't have a right to destroy this nation. And in general, if you don't want to mess with me, shut your mouths.